Okay, so I just now realized that I was like partly into my story and I hadn't started the broadcast yet. So I apologize for that. So I'm going to back up. Basically, this live chat is to, I don't know, I guess, talk to everyone about my high school experience. I've mentioned a little bit of it in some of my videos and in my last live feed, and people were really curious and wanted to know. So I figured I would just take today to tell my story. And there's a lot of different things within the story that I hope people find helpful, to kind of like get through what you're going through or what you've been through. You can always come out the other side. So basically, starting from the very beginning, I went to a school of choice, which is kind of like a college prep school or a magnet school here in Florida. And both my parents didn't graduate from high school, so it was really important for them to provide me and my brother and sister with a good education so we could support ourselves financially. So going to this school, it started out in middle school. It was like a junior, senior high school. And when I first started out, I joined the drama club. And in this club, I like found out about this guy who was like super popular. Everyone adored him. And he was actually my best friend's brother's best friend. So it was kind of like that older brother thing. So I'm obviously not going to say his name or anything like that because the story gets like pretty intense later on and I don't want to break anyone's privacy. But anyways, so I met this guy. Let's just call him Chad because that's like not even close to his name. So I met Chad and he was just so suave and like laissez-faire and just chill. But at the same time, he was like really good at everything he did. So we were in drama together and I was 13 at the time. He was 15 and, you know, like that older boy crush thing. So our friendship really started to develop and he was just like a nice guy. And we hung out all the time because, you know, being like, it was kind of a foursome. So me and my best friend, her older brother, and then his best friend. So we all hung out all the time. And then when I turned 14, we started dating and my parents were like very on top of their stuff. There was never a moment where like I was alone with him or we were alone together. Like our dates were always chaperoned, but it was just very like that young, you think you're in love sort of thing. Well, as time went on, we really did fall in love. And it was one of those situations to where because I was younger and everyone in his class, like all the girls, you know, he was a popular guy and like a lot of people really wanted to date him. So I was bullied a lot for that by the older girls. Like I remember this one girl, hi Solar. How are you doing, bud? I told you not to watch this. But I met, or like all these girls were picking on me. And I remember specifically this one girl, I will never forget her for as long as I live. But every time she walked past me in the hallway, she would stick out her elbow and like jab it into me with all of her weight. And she was just really mean and nasty. She spread some pretty bad rumors. I remember like going home crying about it all the time. And my boyfriend, Chad, like he was good friends with her, but at the same, he was like stuck between a rock and a hard place, I guess, from his perspective. And he like didn't want to rock the boat. He was just a very chill kind of guy. And he didn't want to like, I don't know, I guess, yeah, rock the boat. That's the best way to put it. So anyways, she bullied me a lot and I had to really learn how to stick up for myself. And I was not like, I'm not a mean person. I don't like controversy. I don't like conflict. I'm just very much like a fixer. So being bullied was really difficult for me. So this went on, in total, him and I dated for 3 years. So this went on for a long time. And then finally I was able to really just stick up for myself because I talked to my parents about it and they were like, what you need to do is do exactly what she's doing to you. And I was like, okay. So when I saw her, and I will never forget this day, I saw her coming towards me in the hall. And I saw her elbow kind of stick out a little bit, like she was getting ready to jab me with it when we crossed each other's paths. And I finally got the courage to stick my elbow out too. And as soon as we passed each other, like I jabbed her a little bit. And right after that, she never bullied me ever again. So it wasn't even like a huge deal. I didn't freak out on her or anything like that, but I just showed her like, no, you cannot do that to me. I'm not going to let you push me around. If you jab me, I'm going to jab you back. And after I like just kind of poked her a little bit with my elbow, she never did it again. And she even started acting like nice to me, which was really bizarre. So that's kind of that experience of just like the older girls picking on you because you're dating someone who is popular. And that was really tough. Like, I mean, obviously now I'm almost 30 years old. I can look back and say like, okay, that was a difficult situation, but back in the day, it was my world and it affected me so much. And it was really difficult to go through. But now obviously it's like, you're fine. So anyways, me and Chad developed a really strong relationship. Like he was my best friend. We hung out every single day together. With our friends. Like it wasn't one of those situations to where you become super infatuated in high school and, you know, you become consumed by your love interest. Like he hung out with his friends, I hung out with mine, and then we all came together. Like we had a very healthy young relationship, which is great that I'm able to say I had that experience. So as time went on, our schools started to change and they started to hire more high-level faculty because they really wanted people to succeed. So they started to hire people with like doctorate degrees and master's level degrees to teach high school, which was really exciting for us. So they ended up hiring a physics professor who was fresh out of her master's degree, I believe. Or she might have even had her doctor. I can't remember, to be completely honest. So she, you know, was young. Like I think at the time she took the job, she was 26 and she was okay looking. Like she wasn't like hot for teacher sort of level, if you know what I'm talking about. Hi, Jean. How are you? Oh no, I'm so sorry that happened to you. Oh my gosh. Like it's like anytime you stick up for yourself, I feel like things like that tend to happen. Like whenever you finally fight back, sometimes you're the one who gets in trouble, and that's really unfortunate. I hate that. But anyway, so this physics teacher came in and like everyone adored her because, you know, she was young. She was the youngest teacher on the staff, super relatable. And she taught physics, but she like made physics fun. So everyone really liked her. And at this time, I was 16. So this was like kind of jumping ahead 3 years later. Chad and I had like a really great relationship. He was like in a band and I was playing tennis for the state. And like, so we were kind of that high school power couple. And as I kind of clawed my way up and when I say claw, I don't mean it like that. I just mean like, you know, we were a very popular couple and we were very likable. And I had like a great friendship with not just him, but a lot of different people. At least I thought I did. So jumping ahead, like all of this is happening. I'm on like homecoming court for junior high, or like the junior homecoming court. Like I felt like I was on top of the world in high school. And then this woman comes in, and to back up, like I maintained my innocence, if you get what I'm saying. So I would not put out and he was very respectful of that. We had a very good relationship in that sense. He never pressured me to have sex or anything like that. So we, were just a young, innocent couple, but we still, had a really good relationship. So anyways, I feel like I just have to kind of give the backstory, I guess, for all of this to make sense. So this woman comes in, and she was very young and pretty and relatable. And at this point in time, Chad and I started to, in a way, kind of drift apart, because he was really into his music and his band, and I was trying to be really supportive of that. But at the same time, at this point, I felt like he wasn't being as supportive of me and the things that I wanted to do. So I started playing tennis in middle school, and then I ended up doing really well with that into high school. And so I would go to like all of his gigs at these, local venues and stuff on the beach, and he would never come to a tennis match. So it was just kind of that. And it was difficult to support someone who wasn't supporting me. So we were just kind of hitting like a rough spot in our relationship. And then he started to spend more and more time after school with her, the physics teacher. And at first I was like, okay, whatever, like it's not a big deal. And then the rumor mill started, which you guys know, like in high school, the rumor mill is like half the stuff is true, half the stuff is like not even close to the truth. So it was just hard to know. But the rumor mill started about him really having a crush on her. So then fast forward a couple of months after she's here, she started showing up to his gigs, like his band gigs at these local beachside bars. And like me and my mom would always go and support him, and like our friends would go and stuff like that. And I remember one of my very best friends, the physics teacher was also the cheerleading coach. So I have to say that to make this next part make sense. So one of my best friends at the time, her younger sister was on the cheerleading squad. And there's this one night where we all went to Chad's gig for his band, and he started to play Hot for Teacher. And I'm just over here like freaking naive, just like, I don't even know what's going on. Like, this is a typical song that they play because they play classic rock and Led Zeppelin and all that kind of stuff. So it just fit into the genre. And apparently my best friend's younger sister was sitting with the physics teacher because we were all together. And the physics teacher leaned over and told my best friend's younger sister, he's playing this song for me. So she told her that. And then of course she was like, what? Like, I don't even know what's going on right now. She was in middle school at the time, and me and my best friend were in high school. So she goes and tells her sister, who tells me, and I tell my mom, because I'm like, what does that even mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, Hot for a Teacher, like, why would he be singing that to you? So that's kind of when everything really started. And there were some subtle rumors going around the school. But I was just so oblivious to it because I was like, no way, like, we love each other. He's my boyfriend. Like, he would never do anything like that to me. So then as that really started to come out, like that night ended up being devastating for me because he later in the set ended up dedicating a song to her, which he would always dedicate a song to me, like his girlfriend. And then all of a sudden he's dedicating it to this older woman who was a physics teacher at our school. So I was like, what the hell is going on? So then me and my mom end up leaving. I'm like crying, obviously. And then all of this stuff started to progress. So it's hard to like look back and remember all of the nuances, but all of this drama started to progress. And what ended up happening is a professor, I keep saying professor because I'm in college, but a teacher in the same department, but a different teacher, ended up allegedly, and I'm saying this because like it's like, I don't want to incriminate anyone, but allegedly saw my boyfriend and the physics teacher kissing in her room, like after hours. It was like 4:30, which back in the day we got out of class at 3:15. So this was like a while after class let out. And in the science building, the little doors, or the doors had like little glass windows that you could see through. So she saw my boyfriend and her kiss. And when all of this came out, like, keep in mind, this is a favorite professor. Like, everyone loves her because she's young, she's relatable, she's cool and hip. Whereas like all of our other teachers were, you know, much older and like strict and stuff like that. So all of this came out, and they opened up an investigation, and we didn't know what was going to happen. So they opened up an investigation. Meanwhile, I'm freaking out because this is my boyfriend of 3 years, like in high school, thinking I'm going to marry this guy, like once we get out and everything, and like move in together for college. And like, you know, you have all these like dreams when you're in high school. So I'm over here devastated, like, what? My boyfriend, first off, cheated on me, let alone cheated on me with a physics teacher. Like, that's just outrageous. So I'm freaking out. And we end up having, like, my family and his family were very close. So we ended up having this kind of family meeting. So me and my mom went over to his house with his parents, and I talked to him, and I was like, do you even want to be with me anymore? Like, what's going on? So he ended up telling me that he thought we should break up, but he still wanted to be friends. And of course, I was devastated and heartbroken because all of this happened like very fast, very quickly. And thanks, Solar. So all of this is happening. Meanwhile, my mom and his parents are having a conversation. His mom was freaking out that this older woman was essentially like taking advantage of her teenage son. Like, she was 26 and he was 17 at the time. So there's this whole like pedophile molestation thing going on, like what's happening. And his dad was very supportive and was like, well, if my son loves her, then he loves her. So there was like a lot of controversy within the family between both of our families. Just a lot of stuff was going on. Meanwhile, I'm like over here, 16-year-old Brianna, like, what the hell? You know, like, this is even a thing. Like, you hear about this at the time, rarely in the news, but like, this is happening to me. Like, my boyfriend cheated on me with a physics teacher. Like, what? So all of this stuff starts to come out. We had that conversation. Him and I break up, but he's still trying to like be my friend in the hallway. And meanwhile, I'm devastated. So my dad goes to the administration and tells the dean and our like on-school officer, like, I don't want this kid around my daughter anymore because he's really affecting her during school. So then now, like, I'm going through all of this like social trauma, to be completely honest. And now I have like these administrators following me around, making sure that my ex-boyfriend of just a couple of, you know, weeks doesn't talk to me anymore. So it was very like, it was a big deal. And then we started to realize, how am I going to handle having her as a teacher? Because at this time, the investigation was still going on, and we didn't know if she was going to be fired. We didn't even know like if all this stuff was true to the degree that it was, but obviously it was because he told me that he loved her. So all this investigation was going on, but we didn't know how long it was going to take. And I was supposed to have her as my teacher the following year. So this is where, for me, it got really bad. People saw my mom come up to the school when the investigation really started getting heated. And because she was such a favorite teacher and they didn't want her to be fired, all of the students started spreading rumors that I was a jealous girlfriend. And I was the reason why she was potentially going to get fired. And like none of the rumors were true and all of this stuff. So because they saw my mom coming up and they thought that like me and my mom were the one who reported it. When in reality, me and my mom like didn't see anything happen between them. We're just trying to make sure that I could go to the local community college for physics instead of having her as a teacher, because that would just be like a solid no-go. Like, I'm not going to have a woman who my boyfriend cheated on me with teaching me. Like, that's just crazy. So through all of that, I lost every single one of my friends in high school. Like, no one believed my story. No one believed that I wasn't the one who turned her in. And I went from being like the star tennis player, being the lead in school plays, and being like on top of my world, like in high school, to having to leave my high school, going into my senior year, and going to the local community college for dual enrollment. For a couple of reasons. For one, because at the time we didn't know if she was going to be fired or not. We didn't know the level of the investigation because my parents wanted to kind of like remove me from that situation. So after I made that decision to just go to college a year early, like all of my friends started bashing me on FloridaToday.com. You can still look up the blog. That's all about me and how I was the jealous girlfriend. Like, people that I had been friends with since elementary school. Like, we're talking years of friendship. And they just took his side or got caught up in the rumors and practically disowned me. So that was really difficult for a lot of reasons. For one, it was like, you know, you just lose your entire sense of self, your identity. Like, I didn't know who I was anymore. And this all happened within like a 3 to 4 month period of being on the top and then crashing down. And when I say on the top, like our school, our school was very collaborative. Like, there was not necessarily like one popular group. Like, everyone was nice in my high school. There wasn't like that set of mean girls or those mean guys. Like, we didn't have a football team or anything like that. Like, it was just a very small school. Like, my graduating class was 130, I think. So it was small. Everyone got along for the most part, and it was a good experience. But you go from, you know, thinking that everything's like fine and dandy to having the floor ripped out from underneath you and losing all of your friends. Not just losing your friends, but I had people I was friends with for years and years and years since we were like in first grade now talking shit about me on FloridaToday.com, which is like, looking back is just so crazy. Like, ugh. So basically, after all of this happened, we broke up. He ended up going to court because, from my understanding, he allegedly lost his virginity to her. And at the time, he was underage. She was 26. So there was this huge case that happened. She ended up getting fired from her job and lost her teaching license and ended up moving to Europe. So it made national news, and it was the worst experience of my adolescence, hands down. Worst experience ever. It was a really difficult time to go through. And I think part of it was it changed my entire perception of friendship. It changed my entire perception of intimate or romantic relationship, because, you know, this was someone who I trusted for 3 years, who was at the time the love of my life. Not only that, but also my best friend. Like, we shared everything together. And yeah, so all of that happened and I ended up going off. I started college a year early, which hindsight was a really good thing because I was able to start my education early. But at the same time, like I didn't participate in my senior homecoming court. I wasn't on my high school campus at all, except for tennis practice. I stopped the drama club. I was no longer a thespian. So I had to sacrifice a lot of things to maintain my mental health, because being in that kind of environment where all of your friends are talking about you literally right behind your back in the hallway is devastating to go through whenever you are a young person trying to figure out where you fit in the world, let alone where you fit in like this hierarchy of high school. So it took me a really long time to move past that incident. I had a lot of animosity towards guys, and I had a ton of guy friends. It wasn't that, it was more of animosity. Like I didn't want to have, I didn't want to be vulnerable in a romantic relationship. So I went through this whole period of where I was kind of a man eater in a way. So I was mean to guys that I was dating, and I was really hard to handle. So I was just going through like this entire process and of like changing. And it was really hard. So it was hard to see. And it's like watching a train wreck whenever you're bullied, especially online, because it's like you just keep watching those things like come in. And I think this is super relevant for YouTube and like the beauty community, because I was on FloridaToday.com like every single day reading what my friends, previous friends, were talking about me. Yeah, I'm reading what Jean just wrote. I think it's harder for you because everyone knows everyone and rumors spread fast. How's life now? Yeah, that's exactly it. Like when you're in such a small school, like people know stuff within, you know, like the 15 minutes you have changing classes. So yeah, it was tough. So life now, thanks for like shifting gears with me, Jean. Life now is good. Life now is different, a lot different. And I think because I was able to learn a lot of really hard life lessons that maybe you learn throughout your life, I feel like I learned very early. And one of them is to trust, but to guard yourself a little bit. And that's been really helpful because some people are just not trustworthy. And instead of kind of divulging like everything that you feel vulnerable about to someone, just taking your time to really get to know people. But now I feel like because I've had a lot of these experiences, and that's like not the only one, trust me, but I've had a lot of experiences that I feel now very fortunate to have had to help me be mature, to help me see how important every single day is, like, and to just be mindful of how much I have, the good people that are in my life, because it's really easy to get sucked down that rabbit hole of, you know, the negativity and like people are talking about me or I'm getting bullied at school. But if you take a step back and you say, you know what, I have a pretty darn good life. And despite all those people, like, what I have right now, right in front of me is good and it's okay. And I'm going to get through this. And just learning that inner strength, because I feel like whenever you go through stuff, if you tend to really lean on other people very hard, it can be easy to forget to lean on yourself. And so in those moments, I really found myself thinking about what kind of person do I want to be? Like, I never want to be the kind of person that bullies other people or makes someone feel like they're alone in the world. Like, I want to help bring people up. And I think that was a really great life lesson for me in that moment, because I did feel alone. I felt alone in my world of peers. And I just wish that I had one person one person throughout that time, like, I mean, of course I had like my parents and family members who were very supportive and loving, but up here, like one person just to reach out and say, Brianna, are you okay? You're going through a shitty time right now. Are you okay? And because I did not have that in anyone during that time, I really tried to make sure that I can be that person for other people and just say, are you okay? If you need me, reach out to me. Like, I will be here for you, whatever you need. And so, yeah, life now is definitely much better. Of course, you go through things like all the time. And this past year has been the hardest year of my life. So that was like a hard time in high school, but this past year has been the hardest year of my life. Been going through a lot of changes, a lot of growth, and yeah, but it's good. It's good to like take a step back. And thank you, Jean, because you're like making me think about it in the moment. It's good to kind of shift your lens and say, I'm going through a lot of shit right now, to I'm going to come out the other side and I'm going to be better for this. Like, I'm miserable right now. Life sucks right now. Yes, maybe, but it's temporary and I'm going to come out the other side and it's going to be okay. And I love this saying. I actually have a magnet of it on my fridge, and it says, everything will be okay in the end. And if it's not okay, it's not the end. And that's something that I really try, just like give me a little bit of chills, but I really try to live by that and keep that in the back of my head when things are really tough, to just remember that it's not the end and it's going to get better. And part of that is really pushing yourself and making sure that in those moments of chaos and trouble and pain and sorrow, that you keep those little nuggets of insight and you keep those little nuggets of positivity with you. Otherwise, it can be so easy to spiral out of control and just end up in this dark place. And trust me, I have been there. I have really, really been there. And you know, whether it be like mental health stuff that you're going through or physical stuff that you're going through, just remembering that like you may be in pain right now, but to look around you. And this is something that I'm actually really interested in. There's a lot of mindfulness-based practices, and you can look this up online, of just being outside, for example. And I feel very fortunate and blessed to like live in Florida where it's like sunshine and beautiful. But like, even if you live in the snow, like just take a minute, whether you set like a 3-minute timer on your cell phone, and just look outside and look at the world, look at the stars, do whatever you have to do to remember like, what I'm going through is big to me, but in the big picture, there's so much beauty around you. And that's like something I always try to keep in my head, is that there is so much beauty in this world. Not in my kitchen right now, apparently, but there's so much beauty in this world, and just take a second to be mindful of that. That's really helped me a lot this past year. Hi, Diego. So yeah, but that's my story time. I was hoping to make it to 12. And if you guys like have any questions or thoughts, like I know Jean, you've been with me for pretty much the whole time. But if you guys like have anything that you're curious about, or if you have any questions, like feel free to just ask or let me know. But I have been really enjoying this live feed situation. I think it's, first off, been really helpful for me. It's been cathartic to just like get on here and talk and like be with my people and discuss things that I've gone through, and hopefully it helps other people, or at least gets people thinking about things. And I have no way figured out life. Like, I hope that's not coming across like, oh, I have all the answers or anything like that, because that is not even close to the case. I am still living and learning every single day of my life. And I think that's another nugget of insight that I have developed, is just to keep that learning and like that hunger for learning, not just about like education and stuff like that, but learning about life and like just being open to hearing other perspectives and continuing to develop yourself as a person. And I think it can be really easy, especially here in this country right now, to get wrapped up in like what you believe and like your thoughts on things. And it can be really easy to be disrespectful to other people, to be nasty to other people. But the harder part is opening your ears and just listening to what other people have to say, as long as they're saying it respectfully. But if they are, then just opening up your ears. That's a really, really hard thing to learn. And I'm still in the process of learning that. So, yeah. But that's pretty much all I have for my high school story, life lessons thing. I don't even know what is happening with this video at this point, but I had a lot of fun talking about it. And I'm trying to think of like other things that would be fun to do on my live chat. So if you guys have any ideas, let me know. I know one thing that I'm really, really passionate about is online bullying, and how it can be really easy to get sucked into that and even participate in it. And so that's something else that I'm interested in talking about. Another thing, like if anyone's interested in like makeup specifically, or like how to start a channel, like I am all about helping and guiding anyone through that process of starting a channel and like what that takes and everything like that. I think another area that some other people have mentioned is like mental health stigma, specifically within like the online community. And that is something I could talk about for days. So just let me know what you guys are interested in hearing, and I will absolutely get on here and chat with you guys about that. But I'm thinking, like, I'm not seeing any comments come in or anything like that. So I think I'm going to wrap it up for now. And of course, like if anyone has any comments or anything like that, like leave it down below, and like we can have chats in the comment section. So I'm going to go ahead and head out. I hope that everyone had fun, and well, I feel like this was kind of a heavy topic, but I hope that you enjoyed watching the live feed. And of course, if you have any questions for anyone who watches this after, feel free to leave those in the comments. And it was nice talking to you too, Jean. I always love having you around. You're like such a positive influence in my life. I love that. I love you too, Solar. He's my online buddy. All right, guys. Well, I will see you soon. Bye.